Welcome to DOR's Filing Season Update presentation for tax year 2024. I'm Sharen Brown, the Senior Deputy Commissioner of Tax Administration. I'm excited to participate in the Department's annual tax filing season video with valuable tax information for 2024 tax filing season. Today you'll be hearing from DOR representatives on several topics and the changes you should be aware of when filing your 2024 personal income tax return. Today's presentation is mostly focused on personal income tax. I would like to take a moment and provide you a few brief updates. Our efforts toward modernization of DOR's hybrid work model have continued, including increasing our in-office presence to connect staff to one another and share best practices with the collective goal to enhance the experience of our constituents. We are steadfast in our goal to continue to provide an excellent customer service experience. DOR will participate in the IRS's Modernized Electronic E-File, MEF, with a soft launch scheduled for mid-January. Several free filing options are available on Mass Tax Connect, including the free Form 1 Personal Income Tax Return application and Direct File. Notable this tax year with the successful launch of both the IRS and DOR's Direct File pilot completed last year, the IRS anticipates Direct File option to be available at the onset of this filing season and remain available until the next tax filing due date. We are also continuing to improve our language access initiatives and to expand meaningful outreach opportunities with local communities and other organizations. We are prepared and ready for the upcoming filing season. The 2024 personal income tax return due date is Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. Both our processing center and customer service center are staffed and ready to support a smooth and successful filing season. We value your direct feedback. It's important to us as it helps us improve the services we provide. Please let us know if we're not providing the level of service you expect. You'll find contact information at the end of this presentation to provide feedback. All of us at DOR look forward to a successful filing season. Thank you for taking the time to learn about important tax updates for tax year 2024. I know you'll find the information provided by Mireille Eastman, Finn Allen, Krystle Lyles, Dannielle Colwell, McLeod, and Darryl Jenkins useful. In closing, I would like to thank you. You are an important partner to the Department's mission of ensuring tax compliance in the Commonwealth. I hope 2025 brings you good health. I will now turn it over to the group, and taxpayer advocate Mireille Eastman will start us off.
Thank you, Sharen. My name is Mireille Eastman, and I am the taxpayer advocate for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I am excited to be doing this filing season presentation as well. If you watched last year's presentation, the format will be similar. As in the past, we will start by discussing the 2024 legislative changes and recent DOR initiatives. These changes often impact our forms, so we will go over what's new on 2024 forms and schedules. In the next sections, we will go over some helpful hints to avoid processing delays with your return and provide you with an update on the most popular income tax credits. Finally, we will recap how to stay informed throughout the year and how to contact us should you need assistance. Please note, we have included hyperlinks in the presentation, and there is a resource page available on our website. As in past years, 2024 has brought a number of legislative changes and DOR initiatives. In this section of the presentation, I will go over the tax provisions in the fiscal year 2025 budget. Then my colleague, Finn Allen, will discuss other legislation and DOR guidance that was issued in 2024. Finally, Krystle Lyles will go over Form 1 in Mass Tax Connect, Direct File, and our continued language access improvements. Some of you may recall that between 2005 and 2022, Massachusetts had a long gap in conformity with the IRS code for purposes of the personal income tax. Only 2 years later, the FY25 budget provides an update to align with the IRS code as amended and in effect on January 1st, 2024. The 2025 budget also includes clarification on the Title V credit for mandated septic system repairs, replacements, upgrades, and sewer connections. The scope of the credit now includes nitrogen-reducing technology and sewer connections required under a watershed permit. Also notable is the repeal of the deduction of interest and dividends from Massachusetts banks on the return starting in tax year 2024. This was a $200 deduction claimed on the tax return, so we will touch on this in the Forms Changes section as well. The 2023 tax relief legislation contained a provision requiring married couples who filed jointly for federal purposes to file jointly in Massachusetts. This is effective starting with tax year 2024. The FY25 budget provides an exception to this requirement where one of the spouses had mass gross income of less than $8,000. The department is currently working on guidance for taxpayers where one spouse is a Massachusetts resident and the other is a non-resident or a part-year resident. The FY24 supplemental budget had a couple of tax provisions of note. It contained a clarification that a non-custodial parent may claim the Child and Family Tax Credit for a qualifying dependent that is 13 or older and who is physically or mentally incapable of caring for himself or herself if certain conditions are met. And it included a change to the estate tax calculation in relation to non-Massachusetts property. In last year's presentation, we touched on a couple of big changes to the estate tax, including the $2 million threshold and the Massachusetts credit that effectively eliminates the tax on that first $2 million. This change allows for a resident of the state to exclude property outside of Massachusetts from the calculation of the federal gross estate. My colleague Finn Allen will now discuss other 2024 legislative and DOR changes, including the Veterans Act and an update on the tax relief for those affected by presidentially declared disasters.
Thank you, Mireille. My name is Finn Allen, and I'm an appeals officer with the Office of Appeals. The Office of Appeals works with taxpayers to resolve disputes in an informal and expeditious manner. As Mireille mentioned, we will discuss some other legislation and DOR guidance for the 2024 filing season. Let's get started. First, we will touch on the Veterans Act. As of August 8, 2024, veterans are exempt from the motor vehicle excise tax if the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs determines the veteran meets certain conditions related to a service-connected disability. The Act also increases the veteran's hire credit from $2,000 to $2,500, beginning in 2024. This is a tax credit for employers that hire veterans. The Act expands the sales tax exemption for purchases of motor vehicles by disabled veterans. Beginning with purchases made on or after February 8, 2025, the exemption will be available to all taxpayers who have been issued a motor vehicle license plate displaying the words Disabled Veteran or a Purple Heart distinctive registration plate. Our Rulings and Regulations Bureau has been busy this year, issuing a number of regulations, draft regulations, and other public written statements that can be found in the legal library on our website. In the next couple of slides, we will highlight some of the recent guidance, but this list is not all-inclusive. A TIR is a technical information release issued by the department in relation to a law change or a court case. In most cases, a TIR is issued first as a working draft so that we can receive comments on the draft and then finalize after a set comment period. The first TIR I'll discuss relates to legislation that impacts the residency rules for military service members and their spouses. Beginning with tax year 2023, a service member and a military spouse during their marriage has a choice of state of residence. They may elect the residency of the service member, the military spouse, or the duty station of the service member. For prior tax years, only the spouse of a service member could make an election, and the election was more limited. Another TIR issued this year relates to disaster relief. In 2008, the department issued a TIR stating we will follow the IRS relief for personal income taxpayers. TIR 24-8 is a restatement of the rule that the DOR automatically grants extensions to file returns, submit payments of tax and estimated tax, and file extensions for affected income and estate taxpayers of a presidentially declared disaster. However, the relief does not apply to the filing of other tax documents with the department, including claims for relief, amended returns, or abatements. Taxpayers other than income or estate who are affected may apply for a penalty waiver where there is reasonable cause for their failure to file timely and pay. TIR 24-6 explains the tax changes in the fiscal year 2023 closeout supplemental budget. It clarifies the tax treatment of sport wagering income and allows a deduction for related losses. It grants additional time for employers to verify National Guard status for purposes of the National Guard hiring credit. There is currently a draft regulation that will provide guidance on this credit for employers that hire members of the National Guard. The supplemental budget also makes clear that the new single sales factor for business corporations is effective for tax years starting on or after January 1st, 2025. This next TIR 24-4 relates to the provisions in the 2023 tax relief legislation. We spent a lot of time discussing this in last year's presentation, which you can search for on our website. The TIR explains all of the personal income tax changes to popular credits and deductions, like the increase in the senior circuit credit and the rental deduction. There were also changes to business credits, the adoption of the single sales factor for business corporations, and the changes to the estate tax Mireille mentioned earlier in this presentation. And I will now turn it over to Krystle Lyles. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Krystle Lyles and I am a supervisor in the bankruptcy unit. The bankruptcy unit ensures that the taxpayer bankruptcy cases are administered to be compliant with United States Code Title 11. I will be discussing MTC Form 1, upgrades, and direct file. As we mentioned last year, full-year Massachusetts residents can file a Form 1 online using Mass Tax Connect starting with tax year 2021. Most common schedules are supported. For ease of use, it is a question and answer format. Filing the returns is free. However, a login is required. To create a login, they must have filed at least one Massachusetts tax return in the past 3 years. We are looking to expand this option to non-residents soon. Last year, Massachusetts participated in the IRS Direct File pilot. This year, the IRS is fully implementing Direct File. Full-year Massachusetts residents that use the IRS Direct File will be able to upload the information onto their Form 1 in Mass Tax Connect. Please note that the federal return must first be accepted by the IRS through Direct File. The department is always seeking to improve services to taxpayers who benefit from access to information in languages other than English. This year, we rolled out a new Where's My Refund interactive voice response that is entirely in Spanish. Additionally, the Personal Income Tax Bureau now offers a Spanish line with a Spanish-speaking customer service representative. Finally, the Ask My chat box also now offers multiple languages. The DOR also offers multiple other non-English resources. We have posted sample notices professionally translated into Spanish on our website, which can be found at mass.gov/DOR. We offer live phone support in multiple languages and Spanish subtitles on our MTC video tutorials. Our web translation resource guide is a great resource for taxpayers explaining how to use free translation tools on various browsers and multiple apps. It has been my pleasure to participate in this year's filing season presentation. Dannielle Colwell will now talk about what is new on our 2024 forms and schedules.
Hello, my name is Dannielle Colwell, and I am a tax examiner in our Collections Bureau. The main role of our group is to provide timely customer service and accurate resolution of any issues raised on the Collections Contact Center phone line. We provide all related support to certificates of good standing, hardship requests, and outside collection agency programs. Let's talk about some important updates to forms and online credit applications for 2024. There are a few changes to the Form 1 and Form 1 NRPY this year that relate to the law changes Mireille discussed earlier in the presentation. On Form 1 and Form 1 NRPY, Line 1 filing status, 2 new ovals have been added. Mireille mentioned that as of tax year 2024, a married couple filing a joint federal return must also file a joint Massachusetts tax return. There are limited exceptions where taxpayers would have a different filing status on their federal and Massachusetts returns. If they qualify for one of these exceptions, they would indicate that on the Massachusetts return by filling in one of these ovals as applicable to clarify that they have a different filing status from the federal return. Since there are a lot of ovals in this section, we had to move the checkbox for the custodial parent who had released their claim to the exemption for their child or children. It is now above line 1. Another change for tax year 2024 was the repeal of the bank interest deduction. This impacts line 5 on the Form 1 and line 7 on the Form 1 non-resident part year. As is shown on the slide, the boxes to enter a deduction for Massachusetts bank interest have been removed. In addition, line 14B on the Form 1 non-resident part year is now reserved for future use. The department is always looking for areas to streamline a process and make it more accessible for taxpayers. These online credit applications are an example of this. Starting in September 2024, the Brownsfields and film credit applications are submitted online via Mass Connect. Generally, taxpayers must log into their account to complete the application and upload the documents. However, if the taxpayers are new to Massachusetts and do not have an online account, they can submit an online application by choosing the Submit Credit Application link under File on the homepage. In the coming years, we will continue to expand our online offerings through Mass Connect. If you haven't done so already, I encourage you to register with us on Mass Connect. You can already file returns, make payments, see any notices or letters on your account 24/7. This ends my portion of the presentation. McLeod will now talk about some helpful hints for this upcoming filing season.
Hi, my name is McLeod, and I work in the Processing Division. The Processing Division processes, sorts, and scans all incoming mail, including tax returns and payments, and enters data into the system for the Department of Revenue. I will share with you some helpful hints and reminders as you prepare to file your tax return. Please make sure to complete and submit a Schedule DI when you claim a dependent on your tax return. For example, if you are claiming a dependent exemption on the Form 1, Line 2B, or on Form 1 NRPY Line 4B, you must submit a completed Schedule DI with your return. The same applies if you are claiming the Earned Income Credit or the Child and Family Tax Credit. Your return cannot be processed if you are claiming these credits, but you don't submit a completed Schedule DI. This may lead to a letter being mailed and a delay in receiving your refund. Beginning in 2023, a Massachusetts taxpayer can claim the child and family tax credit for one or more qualifying individuals that do not have a Social Security number or an individual taxpayer identification number, also known as an ITIN. The ITIN is a tax processing number issued by the IRS. This may be the case where the taxpayer has a young child that is not a citizen of the United States and does not qualify for an ITIN. To claim the tax credit for such a qualifying individual, you will have to request a Massachusetts Alternative Identification Number, called a MATIN for short, that you will use to complete the Schedule DI. Instructions for requesting a MATIN can be found on our website. It is important to note that the taxpayer actually filing the return must have a Social Security number or an ITIN. The MATIN is only for the qualifying individual. Finally, we wanted to remind everyone that for Massachusetts purposes, a third-party settlement organization must report anything greater than $600 in gross sales on a Form 1099-K. If you receive a Form 1099-K, you are only required to include taxable income on your income tax return. Next, let's talk about a few letters you may receive over the course of the filing season, what they may look like, and why you may receive them. A request for information letter asks for additional information and could relate to a number of matters, including a withholding credit, the earned income credit, or the circuit breaker credit. This letter is often used to protect both taxpayers and the Commonwealth from identity theft and fraud. The fastest, most secure method of responding to the letter is electronically on Mass Tax Connect. Under Quick Links, Submit Documentation. To avoid delays in processing your tax return, please submit all the documentation requested in the letter. Another letter you may receive is the Request for Verification letter. This letter is how DOR asks for more information to make sure that you, as the taxpayer, actually filed the return, not someone pretending to be you. Unfortunately, every year, we receive returns that are filed by other people, so we send these letters by mail as a security measure. Again, the fastest, most secure way to respond to this letter is on Mass Tax Connect using the letter ID. On the home page, there is a link to respond to request for return verification. I hope these hints will help you avoid delays this filing season. Darryl Jenkins will now talk about some updates to popular credits.
Hello, my name is Darryl Jenkins. I'm with the Data Analytics Unit. Data Analytics is responsible for audit selection programs and analysis utilizing DOR's data warehouse and Amazon Web Services data lake. I'm going to give you some updates on popular credits for personal income taxpayers. In last year's presentation, we discussed the significant increases in the next 3 refundable credits that were in 2023 tax relief legislation. This year, the changes are less significant, but those credits are still significant benefits to qualifying taxpayers. The Earned Income Tax Credit is a federal and Massachusetts refundable credit for people with low or moderate earned income. The Massachusetts credit is 40% of the federal credit for those who qualify. You do not have to have a tax due to claim the credit, but you must file a return. Also, as shown on the chart on the slide, your earned income cannot exceed federal limitations for you to qualify. Non-residents are not eligible to claim this credit. Generally, you are not eligible to claim the credit if you file marrying separately, but there are exceptions for victims of domestic abuse. The credit is claimed on Form 1, line 43, or for part-year residents on Form 1, NRPY, line 47. We have a great page on our website with detailed information at mass.gov/DOR/EITC. The Senior Circuit Breaker Credit is a refundable credit for real estate taxes paid by those ages 65 and older. On a joint return, only one spouse needs to be 65 or older. Like the other credits in this section, you do not have to have a tax due to claim this credit, but you must file a Massachusetts tax return to claim this credit. You may be eligible if you own or rent a home in Massachusetts, but the calculation is different if you rent. Up to 50% of your actual sewer and/or water charges can also be included. Also, there are some special rules if your principal resident is held in a trust, you live in an assisted living facility, a multi-unit dwelling, a land area bigger than 1 acre, or a multi-purpose building or land area. The department's website has a lot of information about these limitations, and I encourage you to visit if these special rules apply to you. This year, the maximum credit allowed is $2,730, and the value of your home cannot be more than $1,172,000. Your income cannot be greater than $72,000 for single filers, $91,000 for head of household, and $109,000 for joint filers. Please note, if you have income that was excluded from your adjusted gross income, like Social Security, you must add it back when you calculate your income for this credit. Non-resident taxpayers and those filing separately are not eligible for this credit. For more information, please refer to Technical Information Release 24-10. The last credit I'm going to talk about is a child and family tax credit. This is another refundable credit for people with dependent children under age 13, dependents over age 65, and dependents with a disability. A dependent or spouse who are physically, mentally, and capable of taking care of themselves and principally living with the taxpayer. The credit amount has increased this year to $440 for each qualifying individual. There is no limit on how many qualifying individuals you can claim, and you do not have to have a tax due to claim the credit. But again, you must file a Massachusetts return as discussed earlier in the presentation. If you have a qualifying dependent that does not have a Social Security number or an I-10, you can apply for an MA-10, which is a Massachusetts Alternative Tax Identification Number. Mireille will now wrap up and let you know how to stay informed and provide contact information should you need to get in touch with us.
Thank you so much, Darryl, for going over those credits. I will close off this year's presentation with some highlights on how to stay informed during filing season. On the home page of mass.gov/DOR, we have a number of helpful links. Our What's Trending page has information on current issues throughout the year. As you can imagine, right now it has a lot of helpful information about the tax year 2024 filing season, including a link to this presentation and the resource page I spoke about earlier. The DOR Hot Topics page is where we post information on issues we are seeing. Our comprehensive tax guides are broken up by subject matter and have detailed information about personal income tax, sales and use tax, and other business tax types. Since 2019, we have been posting a list of DOR-approved software vendors on our website on mass.gov/DOR. We have received great feedback on this because tax practitioners need to know when their software is ready to be used. If you are a tax professional and want to let us know about problems that involve multiple clients, you can email us at taxprofeedback@dor.state.ma.us. However, if your issue is specific to one client, please continue to use Mass Tax Connect to send us e-messages. Another way to find out about new developments is to sign up to receive updates and our monthly newsletter, DOR News. Finally, one of our most popular resources is a link on our homepage that allows you to quickly check on the status of your tax refund. You do not even need a Mass Tax Connect account. Our final slide has some phone numbers and emails you can use if you need to contact us. We also have a more complete contact list on our website. Again, I recommend using MassTax Connect to send us e-messages with specific questions about your account. It is always available and cuts down on a few steps because we will already know who you are and be able to review your account. MassTax Connect provides many options that enable you to view and manage your accounts, send an e-message, make a payment, or file returns. You can even submit certain requests and set up a payment agreement. If you prefer calling, our contact center is happy to help. If you are experiencing a hardship, please reach out to our Collections Bureau. DOR's Problem Resolution Office can assist you with issues that you have not been able to resolve through our normal channels. Finally, as the taxpayer advocate, I want to hear about procedural concerns that affect multiple taxpayers or improvements that can help all taxpayers. We have reached the end of this year's filing season update. We hope you have found this presentation helpful, and we wish everyone a successful 2024 filing season.